I'm Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. There's been such a lot of change this last year. So many things have changed, and I look back over this last 12 months and more, and I just feel like my head's just spinning. So not only things like the ABRSM exam entry system has changed for teachers, so I've had to learn a whole new online procedure. I've had to consider things like the piano syllabus has changed, the complete scale requirements has changed entirely, and I have to keep reminding myself not to keep giving students the wrong scales because the scale list has changed now. Of course, the theory syllabus has changed, and so we're just learning to transition to that. And each one of these things isn't really kind of a big deal, but combined all together, I just think, goodness, what a lot has gone on. And so, yeah, the theory has changed, the way the theory exams are taken has changed. Also, on top of that, the way I teach has had to change. So of course we've had to adjust to remote teaching, and then face-to-face lessons have changed the way they look as well. So, you know, 2 pianos, socially distanced and so on. And there's been so many other things. And then behind the scenes, I've had to have new software, new computer packages. I've had to learn, even down to the fact that my email system has changed, my editing system has changed. I've had to reorganise my desk. And each one of these things doesn't seem much at all, but it's such a lot to take in. And some of it, I absolutely think, yeah, absolutely agree with that. I think that's such a great change, and it's really sort of opened my eyes to new possibilities and new opportunities. So although it's been a troublesome year, it's really kind of refined my teaching process and has really channeled down my thoughts to a whole new way of teaching. And I think I would just say that sometimes, even if there are changes that we perhaps don't always agree with, this is where, as a teacher, it's my job to teach what I think is important and what a student needs to know, not just teaching to the test. And so I know a lot of people have struggled with the change over to the new ABRSM online theory exams, particularly in the fact that there's very, very little manuscript writing required now. The subject content isn't quite so different, really. You still need to know what you need to know, but there's less pencil notation writing work. And it's like, well, you know, I think that's really important. And so as a teacher, I will still create opportunities to learn to write with a pencil, write your notation skills, get your manuscript skills up. And so, for example, if as a teacher you disagree with the way that the scale syllabus has changed, well, it's up to us to include which scales and arpeggios or broken chords and things you think your students should know. And it's about not always teaching to the test. And so it's been really good for me to sort of just think about that. So yes, of course we want to pass the exam, but we also want integrity in instilling knowledge that we think would be helpful to a student. And so, you know, I look back on all of this, and I don't know if it's because it's springtime, although it's still freezing cold and not much is growing, but there's that zing in the air, and I feel like I'm emerging from this chrysalis of change. And it's no wonder that I feel like I'm a little bit behindhand. I know I did a vlog getting my ducks in a row, and I really am getting my ducks in a row. And there's been a lot going on under the surface. It's just taken me a lot longer, and I look back and I think, it's no wonder. You know, everything has changed. My whole music room has had to change round. The way I teach on piano to piano has changed. And getting used to new software and absolutely everything I do has really taken some getting used to. And on top of all of this, you know, life happens, doesn't it? And so I don't just do music, I have a family. You know, my dad died, I mentioned that in a vlog, and just over a year ago. And so then my poor mum, lockdown happens, and so There's been a lot going on in the families. We all look after each other as well. Yeah, there's so much to life, isn't there? And you can't do everything all the time. But I have to say that looking back over all of the changes, in particular the changes in the exams, I mean, even things like the remote exams, the recorded exams, that's been a massive thing to adjust to. However, once you get past the technology, it's a really good tool. I don't think it answers everything. I don't think it's a replacement, but it's a good option, and I've definitely been making use of that. And again, I've got to get used to the technology and how to present the files and how to enter those as well. However, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And as my Gran used to say, a change is as good as a rest. And it's really revitalised my tuition practice approach. And it's kind of like provided a framework for teaching in the 21st century. It's taken us into a new level. There's good, there's bad, there are definitely problems, and I'm sure that ABRSM have found that there are teething problems. I know that one of the big problems as a teacher, and my friends also have experienced, is the lack of support that there feels to be for teachers. So if something's going wrong now, there's just no redress, there's no phone line to ring somebody and say, hi, what do we do about this? You can enter the online forms and nobody gets back to you. And I think ABRSM have found it just as tricky because they must just be absolutely overwhelmed. And I know that when the exam line's open for online entry, the systems just keep crashing because everybody is entering and the system just overloads. And although that's really frustrating and it's very stressful, it's quite heartening as well, because it's like, well, lots of people are doing music then, aren't they? And I know that these remotely assessed exams have been very, very well received. They're definitely a great addition, not a substitution, I don't think. And again, if we're going to be doing these online performances, like remotely assessed performances, I think that doesn't mean we ditch the scales and arpeggios and so on. My job as a teacher is you still need to learn these scales and arpeggios because look, if you do this, it really helps you in this piece. And so I just think, wow, I wonder if after kind of being in lockdown scenarios, as we all sort of come out and into the sunlight, we're going to come out into a new world really. And I know for my teaching and for my students, it's been a big transition. It's been a big transition in so many ways. However, I think it's done me good. I definitely feel like I've refocused as a teacher. And so, yeah, the future is bright. There's a whole new horizon out there for me to explore, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. So many things now are going to be coming back, but in a new sense. And for me, I'm pleased to have undergone that sort of chrysalis of change. It's been problematic, but I feel like I'm stronger for it, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to learn new things. So just because it's changed, just because it's different, doesn't mean we should just throw it out and ignore it. And if we feel like there are things that are missing, if we need to redress the balance as a teacher, that's our job, that's my job. And I think students, just trust your teachers. And if you're doing things that aren't necessarily on the syllabus, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We don't just teach the test. We want to learn what is good for us to learn in all things. Thanks for watching. Bye.